Okay, it's time to dive into the carburetor on this little MTD. The other day I was out here working on the valves. I got the valve clearances kind of good at this moment. It is cranking over by the starter. It's not cranking and hitting like these typical Briggs & Strattons do. I decided to look at the carburetor because actually the carb solenoid started working again. So I pulled it off and I checked it, and it was reasonably clean. So I threw some gas in the tank and tried to start it. Of course it wouldn't start, but not a big deal. So right now we're going to dive in to the carburetor and see how bad the carburetor actually is. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I have a few extra carburetors for this engine that will go on here. A few of them are from larger engines, which will still work on this engine. It'll just give it a little bit more torque, really. I think that's all it will really do. But as you can see, the tank is actually holding fuel. That's how much I put in there. So I gotta drain that back out. I gotta get the something in there. There's something stuck in the bottom of the tank, right down in there. I don't know what it is, to be honest. Whatever it is covered in gas now. I don't think this thing actually suffered with ethanol poisoning. The fuel lines seem to be okay as of right now. I'll most likely change out that fuel filter. I got a whole bunch of them I bought off Amazon a week or so ago. So I'll change that out when the time comes. Most likely, like I said, a fuel shut off will be in order on this. And if I can get away with cleaning this existing carburetor, I definitely will. But if I have to, I will replace it. Because this also uses a single wire backfire prevention solenoid, and none of my other carburetors have that, so I'd have to run a separate ground. So let's get started. I'll pull off the top cover and we'll open up the carburetor. Okay, here is the backfire prevention solenoid. I have definitely seen worse. This actually isn't that bad. And like I mentioned, this did start working again. And it actually has some fuel on it. I don't know if it's the fuel I put into the tank, or if it's some residual fuel that was actually in there, or it could also be some carburetor cleaner that migrated down in there when I tried to fire the engine. But let's try and pop off the float bowl and see how bad this carburetor is. And that's open. Probably no saving that carburetor. It's pretty bad. Pretty gummed up. So that's why it did not work. And clearly I see why. I had a feeling it was going to be like this in there. But I had some hopes that the carburetor might actually be alright. So I guess we're going to change out the carburetor. I'll grab one out that I have. I'll quickly clean it. Just give it a quick spray through. And we'll go from there. Hopefully I can use the existing backfire prevention solenoid on the carburetor I do choose for this engine. So I don't really want to have to run aground. If I have to, it's not a big deal, but yeah. But like I said, the compression did come up a bit, or it's better than it was, but it did have more compression before, so I think I still got to do some more work on the valves, get them sorted out, and go see from there. But I'd like to get it running, get it up to operating temperature, get the fan shroud back on, so the oil dipstick doesn't go flying, maybe change the oil as well, and then see about adjusting the valves when it's warm. Also, it had a bent valve. I believe the intake valve was, or sorry, the intake push rod was bent. I was able to straighten it out, but I would definitely like to change that as well, because if it bent once, it will most likely bend again. It's just a soft aluminum tube, so most likely I would like to change that out. I should have one. Worst case scenario, I'll have to order one, but we'll see from there. So I guess that's pretty much it. So I guess I'm doing a carburetor on this machine, which I kind of did expect from the very beginning, but I was kind of hoping I'd get lucky and the carburetor would be clean. So talk to them later. Please keep riding like always, and please comment.